Dots. Welcome back to this edition of Connected Dots, a program or podcast that we bring to you people from different walks of life. They're doing business, they are politicians, activists, or campaigners of sort, or they've got some art and crafts that they are trying to be progressive with, and lots of that. So today we are lucky to bring the CEO of Connecteddevelopment, Hamzat Lawal, and even Follow the Money, a lot of other things that he's doing right now on his plate. And that's really a big one for us because we want to bring people that will be able to tell their stories, to impact the communities, to impact the younger generations in Nigeria, especially now that we're working towards changing mindsets, the paradigm shifts, and all of that. So Hamzat Lawal is someone that I know a lot of people know about, but I'll just like to say brief about him. Follow the Money is a social accountability project initiative that he does alongside analysts like data analysts, journalists, activists, and even students in universities, and a lot of that. Then Connecteddevelopment deals with impacting communities and bringing change and all of that. Welcome to this podcast today, Mr. Hamzat.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So your journey is something that I got interested in when I went to Google. I'm like, oh, this young person, and I've met you quite a number of occasions where you were working for a social campaign or you're trying to bring change, like the Not Too Young to Run bill during the NSAS protest and all of that. And I'm like, oh, I'm really interested to know more about this person. I know a lot of young people would pick one or two things from your story. From secondary school, you've been doing this whole thing. Can you just give us a brief of the way you started this career, this process of your life, I would say, because it's not a career, it's a lot of things that you've put together. Can you just give us a brief?
Yeah, sure. And actually from primary school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, primary school. I remember at that time when I was in primary school, I joined the Boy Scout movement as a Cub Scout. Because I was much younger. So then you wear the scout uniform, but because you're a Cub Scout, you have to wear short knicker. And during environmental cleanup day, so at that time in Abuja, either the first weekend of the month or the last weekend is a national environmental day. So it's a day where government set aside a few hours on Saturday and hope that people come out and clean up the environment.
Okay.
It's an initiative to keep the city clean. So for me as a Cub Scout, and because then society really likes Scouts, so we do a joint operation between, FCDA, Mano, and Boy Scouts. So usually they send the Cub Scout to go and knock on doors and households to get people to come out. So they would send me because when I was small and they say I have a friendly face. So I'll go, as a Cub Scout, a very small boy, I would go to different houses. I would knock, I would see aunties and uncles, I'll greet them and I'll beg them, please can you come out and clean up your environment, your refuse is full, can you come out and go and dump it at the general refuse dump. And for me, this built my confidence as a young boy, because I saw myself convincing older people that are my father and my mother's age mates or my uncles and aunties, and they would come out. And I don't know these people, but because they usually post us to different districts. So they'll send me, because Manoa, they're mostly aggressive. People don't really trust police and government. Yeah. But me as a Cub Scout and a young, small boy, so I'll talk to them, they come out, they clean up the environment. Sometimes I even join them in picking trash, and then they would say I should sensitize them and tell them the benefit of keeping the environment clean. And I'll see other people listen to me.
Wow.
And so over time, it built my confidence. So I finished primary school as a Boy Scout leader.
Wow.
Yes, so in primary 6, I was a Boy Scout leader. So I joined secondary school. So in secondary school, I continued and I joined the Scout movement. So at that time, I was a Boy Scout. This time, I was wearing trousers, not short
Wow, no short knicker.
Yeah, and in school, because of my leadership traits, I was respected right from JS1 and JS2.
Wow.
When they come and do general punishment, they don't punish me. Even if I don't wear Scout uniform, they'll say, Hamza is a good student, he's a Scout, we know him, we respect him, we love him. Hamza, step aside. So they'll tell me to leave the class.
Wow.
They'll punish everybody because they come, they will come and punish people for making noise. They say, Hamza will not make noise. He's really calm and he does things that, every leader look up to. So I was in secondary school until SS2. I became a prefect and I became the Scout leader of the school.
SS2?
Yes, SS2.
This was, the primary school one was what age, and then the secondary school?
I'm not good with numbers, but I think in primary school, Honestly, I can't remember. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. Like, you wouldn't be up to, at the time that you start in primary school, you wouldn't be 10, I think.
No, not so. Okay, I started pre-nursery by 3 years.
Yeah.
So I think I would be 9, 10 in primary school.
So you started this journey when you were 9, 10.
Yeah.
That
As a Boy Scout leader.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as a leader, or not even joining. I think I joined, the Scout movement around 5 or 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah. I joined when I was in primary 2 or 3.
That's
really
pretty
small.
early.
And you see, I'm still small. Imagine how I looked that time with my short knicker.
You should just say tiny. You were tiny at the time.
Thank you so much. That's much better. So I was a Boy Scout leader in SS2, and I was also the utility prefect in school.
Wow.
So, I was controlling a lot of people who were going for camps. So we go for camps some weekend, just go into the bush, set up camp and tent, teach people about leadership, about the Scout movement, just talk about values in the society and the role of Boy Scout. And then I left secondary school and into the university. But in university, I didn't continue as a Boy Scout, but Boy Scout prepared me, or the Boy Scout movement prepared me to be a leader. I remember in my 100 level, there was a disagreement, a big disagreement in class. So what happened? They wanted a class rep.
Yeah.
And for us to organize and even decide who would lead the class became a big problem. So I was in class this day before the lecturer came in. Everybody was making noise.
Rowdy.
Yeah, why are these people making noise? Just because they needed a leader and they can't even agree on who would lead them. So they kept making noise, and these people were huge. I was still tiny, So I climbed on top of the table. I banged the table. So everybody kept quiet. I'm like, what's this tiny guy? And what's he about to say? So I climbed on top of the table and I said, okay, guys, you know what? We're all adults. This is university. We can't be behaving like children. We have 4 roles in this
class.
Theater. Can every role go back and agree and present one representative? So we agree that every role will present one person, so we'll have 4 people. Then the 4 people they present will come in front of the class, and then we ask them questions. So why do you want to lead us? Tell us about yourself. We ask so many questions, and then we go for an election. And they agreed. So they went back 4 groups. They nominated one person. The 4 people came, and then I was moderating. So people were asking them questions. They were telling them about themselves and what they would do for the class, and how they would lead the class and protect the class. Then I said, okay, we brought paper, we cut it small into ballots, and then we counted together. So we counted the number of people in the class. We cut papers into that number. We brought a carton.
Basket.
Yeah, a carton. We got a carton and we said, okay, we'll give you all this paper. Just write the name of the person, and then you put it in this carton. So we counted the paper. We distributed the paper. People wrote, who they want. And then we brought it out. We counted again. You see, it's complete.
Yeah.
Then we started sorting. And then when we sorted, we counted the highest number. The person who had the highest votes became our class rep. And then we inaugurated the person, because we came up with something he would read to take an oath of office. We did that. And so when we're doing this, the lecturer came. So it was the time for this lecturer to. So he saw the process. Okay, I'll give you some minutes to finish up. And so we had a witness. More like an independent observer. And we did that. So that was how I became a bit popular in school. And they called me the INEC chairman in school at that time. Because,
absolutely. You did the INEC job.
And but I was in school when I started Follow the Money. And then I was 24 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, I finished, by the way, I finished secondary school around 17 or 18. But I was at home for about 4 years without getting admission.
That's Nigeria factor.
That time I was in University of Abuja, but then I started Follow the Money. And how did it start? I heard on the news in 2010 that children had died in Zamfara State, Anka local government, due to lead poisoning. So at that time, it was all over the news. Everybody was reporting it, and so government declared it a national emergency and released billions of naira to respond. So 2 years after that, in 2012, I was struggling to get information. Nobody had said anything. Children had died, and no news of. So what happened and how did government responded? So I went to the Ministry of Environment, I went to the Ministry of Mines and Solid Minerals, I went to the Ministry of Health, and I was asking them, again, this tiny guy, is talking to a director, and, I went to the Department of Public Health, and I was asking the director, so what happened? What did you people do? And he would look at me, why are you asking?
Who are you?
Yeah, who are you? Who sent you? So I went to the Ministry of Environment, to the Pollution Control Department. I was asking, Who are you? Who sent you? So all of them were just tossing me around like this tiny ball. So I got angry. I went on a trip to Gusau. So and just to put this into context, from Abuja to Gusau is 7 hours.
Yeah.
And I've never been to Gusau
before.
That time. I just got to I went to the motor park, entered the Sharon car.
Wow.
And I was just interacting with passengers. Oh, I'm going to Gusau.
All of this on your own?
On my own. Nobody sent me. So I got to the park in Gusau. So I was asking people at the park. So I want to go to that community where people dive. So that's Begega. Yes. They say, okay, you have to take another Volkswagen Golf from Gusau to Anchor, and then it's about 4 hours.
Wow.
And this is interesting. So in this Golf, you have the driver and one passenger.
At the front seat?
No, so you have the driver and the passenger on the driver's
seat. On the seat.
Then in the front you have the passenger and one person. So that's 4 people.
4 people
in front. You have 5 people at the back. Then you have people in the boot.
5 people at the back?
Yes.
It's supposed to be 4 people.
I say 4 people in front, 5 people at the back. Then the boot, you have another 5 or 6 people. Then on top of the car, you have people. So for me, it was an experience. It was like, and I told the driver, okay, can I pay for 2 or 3 seats so that I will be comfortable? So when we started the journey, he said, oh, this is my brother. So he kept carrying me. But I said, but I've paid. He said, okay, do you want me to give you back your money and come down from the car? Because you want me to leave my brothers stranded on the road when there is empty seat. But I said, no, it's not empty. I paid for it. He said, well, my brothers are here. You can take your money and go back to the park and take another car.
Wow.
But, I made friends. I was asking them questions. We even had goats inside the car, because some of them are farmers and they were transporting their goods to the market. So, we had goats. I had the goods by my side, yeah, it was really crazy and interesting.
Wow.
So I got to Anchor and they told me, oh, you're going to Baigega, you have to travel another 4 hours, but this time on a motorbike. So I rode on the motorbike, dusty, there was no road, so it was a
That was
footpath.
13 good hours on the road.
18 actually, 18 in total. So I got to Baigega community. So 1, I found out that over 700 children had died. So it was underreported 2 years ago. 2, I found out that 1,500 children were very sick and at the verge of losing their life. 3, no single kobo of the billions of naira that was released 2 years ago got to this community.
Oh my goodness.
So for me, I was devastated because I was seeing children below 5 years who had, weaker immune system. They would just be playing and the next thing they would fall on the floor, they would be convulsing and they would lose their nervous system. So I was interviewing grandmothers, I was interviewing mothers. I went to a household where they've lost 12 children.
Oh my goodness.
They took me to the graveyard and said, we lost over 700 children, you can count.
Wow.
They had evidence, I was talking to the community chief. So I said, okay, what is the cause of this problem? They say it's mining. I said, okay, where are the miners? They said, so because when they were mining, the governor of the state placed a ban on mining. So the miners now went deep into the forest. So they say, if I want to see the miners, I have to travel 2 hours.
Again?
On a motorbike into the forest. So I said, okay, they should attach me to a motorbike who knows the terrain and who would introduce me as a guest to the chairman of the mining place when we get there. So we traveled 2 hours.
In all of this, there wasn't any fear in you, like,
no, so honestly,
what if?
I wasn't scared. I wasn't thinking, actually. I wasn't even thinking. For me, I just needed to find solution to this problem. So I wasn't thinking. Now I'm actually...
About your safety?
I didn't think about my safety, and maybe I'll even share a story about what happened during one of my trips. So, I got to the mining site, I saw young people, mostly young people scattered across. It was a serious economic activity. People were mining. You have women selling food. You have people selling cigar and whatnot. So they introduced me to the chairman of the miners. He speaks a bit of English because he did junior secondary school. So he was speaking like broken English. My house was also broken, but we communicated. So he introduced me to his people. And I even went into the mining site, I took pictures, I went into the mining site, I saw how they were mining and they were processing the mine. And I told him, but this is contaminating the soil and the air and children are dying. They say, yes, they know, but this is the only way they can feed for their family, fend for their family. And this is the only way they can bring themselves out of poverty.
And it was legal or illegal?
Government had said it was legal. I've placed a ban on mining. So that's why they were inside the forest. And he told me that if government says this is illegal, they should come and ban them from here. And we know, there was no presence of government. Even when I came first, they thought I was someone from government. And I said, no, I'm not from government. I'm just a young guy who wants to bring change. So I interviewed them. I took pictures with them. So I left and I came back to Abuja. And that's how I started a digital campaign. First, it was a hashtag on Twitter called Save Bagega. So it wasn't Follow the Money. It was just Save Bagega. And what we did with Save Bagega is, the name of the community is Bagega and it needed to be saved. And I took all the pictures and videos I recorded. I put it on Twitter saying, this is the current situation in this community. Each and every one of us is from a community. Can we lend a voice to this community and get government attention to it? Because government was not saying anything. Nobody was saying anything. You know, Nigeria is always breaking news. Yeah. So I made sure this became a breaking news. So what happened was, from Twitter, it went to Facebook. Then from Twitter, Facebook, it went to Al Jazeera, CNN, BBC, Voice of America. Everyone was calling me for interview. And because before that time, I was the only guy who had been there. And I was the only guy who have experienced
the situation firsthand.
By the way, I slept in Bagega. So I didn't just go and left immediately. Because I slept there, ate their food, I drank their water, I bathed with stream.
Without the fear of the contaminated?
I didn't even think. I lived like them, and so they trusted me and shared a lot of information with me.
Wow.
So I was the only guy who had knowledge and information about the plight of these people. So everyone wanted to hear from me. And then President Jonathan, because it was a big breaking news all over the world.
Yeah.
So Jonathan responded in less than 72 hours and approved $5.3 million, which was close to $1 billion
at the time.
And say he's released it. And that's how Follow the Money started. Because for me, I wanted to answer, where is this funds coming from? Abuja. Where is it going to? Zamfara. And what would it be used for in Bagega community? And that's how we started following the money from Abuja. And then they clean up the environment. 1,500 children got treatment. Now they have access road. They have even mobile network. Because at that time when I travel, when I get to Anchor, from Anchor, no network. So yeah, no network. So if anything happened to me from Anchor, that's the end. Like nobody will know what happened, where was the last place I was. So now there's network, there's access road, there's primary healthcare center, there's primary school, there's portable drinking water, powered, solar powered, in this community. Like they're all bubbling.
All because of your intervention. All because of individual intervention.
Yeah, and I wanted to tell a story about the insecurity I faced at that time. There was a time I was traveling and then we were attacked by cattle rustlers. So the insecurity in the Northwest started with cattle rustling. Where these people, they call them at that time, they call them rustlers. They would attack some of these little communities where you have nomads and attack them, steal their cattle and their cows and go and sell it. So then they were wearing black and covered in black. So they attacked us, they surrounded us and told all of us to lie down. So I was part of the people traveling that day. We lied down, they said, empty your pocket. So I brought out my money and my phone. So the leader came on a horse. So then they used horses. The leader came and then he said everybody should stand up. So I stood up. Again, we can't see their faces because they were covered.
But you are already in the news. So apparently they've seen you.
So the guy recognized me and said, oh, this guy is a humanitarian. Give him his money, give him his phone, don't touch him. Let him go. Yeah, so I was, and so these are the people now doing banditry, So because what happened was from cattle rustling, they started doing banditry and kidnapping. So I was
for ransom.
Yeah, so if it was now, I'm sure probably they'll put a ransom on my head and say, come and pay yourself. Yeah.
So you were saved because the person could recognize that this is the person that brought change to our community. This is interesting. A lot of people don't even know.
Yeah, I've never shared this story.
Oh, mashallah, I'm privileged to be the first person to get the first-hand details. That's really interesting. Yeah. So now you did follow the money and you continue on that path.
Yes.
When exactly did you register or?
Fantastic. Yeah. So in 2012 we did that. So in 2013, I got an email. Very strange email. I got an email from a group in the United Kingdom saying, hey, Hamzi, we followed your work on social media. We like what you're doing. We're coming to Nigeria and we'd like to meet with you. Tell us how we can meet with you while we're in Lagos. Because at that time, people think it's only young people in Lagos that know how to use technology. Yeah. So I googled this group.
That's a misconception.
Yes, so I googled them out and said, this group that support African innovators, with resources to do work. And so I replied them and said, I'm based in Abuja, but I'm happy to travel to Lagos. I said, no, since you're in Abuja, we'll come to Abuja. There. So they came to Abuja. I met with 2 people from the UK. The executive director of that organization, Lauren. Yeah, her name is Lauren. So we had a 2-3 hours meeting. They were asking me so many questions. And then they asked me, so what is my challenge? I said, well, my challenge is I'm not registered, I don't have an office, I need an office space, and I need money to go to other communities to report issues that affect them so that I can amplify it. So they said, okay, they documented our meeting, they went back to the UK, they wrote to me and said I should write a proposal. Before that time, I've never written a proposal before. So I went on Google also, I was searching templates on how to write proposals. So I wrote an 11-page document I sent to them. And they replied and said, no, this is too much. Can you summarize in 2 pages? You know, we're busy.
Wow.
We want to go and present it to the board. So 7 pages is too long. And this took me sleepless nights. So in my mind, I was like, how would I summarize 11 pages?
To 2 pages.
So finally, I came up with 3 pages and I asked for money to rent an office space and furnish the office space, pay for internet, and then travel to communities. Send it to them. And I didn't hear from them. After a while, they jumped on the Zoom, then it was Skype. So we had a Skype call. They were asking me so many questions I was answering. So after a few weeks, they write and say, congratulations, the board has approved over £9,000.
Wow.
To you to do this work you're doing. And at that time, the exchange rate, so the money was 2.5 million naira. So what happened was, Premium Times saw the news and some digital media, the breaking news, Hamzat Lawal, Follow the Money, has won 2.5 million. Hey, it was trending on Twitter, on social media. So people started calling me, you don't hammer, you don't blow.
2 point something.
Yes, and then it was EOD that was running. End of discussion. That Honda ended. So a lot of people were advising me
to change the car.
To go and buy the car because I didn't have a car then.
Oh,
Hamza, go and buy an EOD. That's what's running. These people are in the UK. If you don't use this money the way you say you do, they won't know. You're in Nigeria, they're in the UK. Wow. Like, wow. Okay. So the money, I was supposed to get an office space. So I got a 30 square foot office space. I furnished the space and I had 5 volunteers. So I started with 5 volunteers. So we're traveling to different communities, documenting their voices and creating hashtag on Twitter. And then finally I got registered. So now I approached CAC to register me as Follow the Money, and they rejected it. They keep rejecting the name, so finally they registered me as Connecteddevelopment after I threatened that I was going to sue them for not registering me.
Wow.
So that's how Connecteddevelopment got registered in 2013, and then we made Follow the Money a citizen-led initiative on transparency and accountability. So, and that's how we started. Now Follow the Money is in 10 African countries.
Wow.
And Connecteddevelopment is now we have an office in America. We're starting up in the United Kingdom, in Canada, and in Southeast Asia. So, and now I'm working to separate Follow the Money from Connecteddevelopment because they're both big, and I don't want conflict and
definitely
there's bureaucracy. So I'm now creating 2 boards, separate boards, and I'm also planning to transition, just to allow the organization grow because these are my legacy, and I've not gone for my master's or PhD.
That's a lot, That's a lot you've done there. Kudos, and it's really something that will motivate a lot of people. When it comes to data in Nigeria, it's a story for another day. When you're trying to find something about a particular thing, you'll be going back and forth. They say there is freedom of information, but you go and be searching for that information, you wouldn't get it. That's really a lot. Then you delve into something else. You've done a lot, and let's talk about the Not Too Young to Run
campaign. Yes. So in 2016, that was in 2016. A group of young people approached me and said, you know what, there's impediment for young people to aspire. And as a country, if young people cannot aspire, that means there is no hope for them. So politically, young people cannot run for office because of age limit. And so what we did was we looked at the gap and then we approached the National Assembly. So what happened was 10 years before that time, a group of young people had approached the National Assembly and they laughed at them and said, oh, you're very young. Go and sit down and wait for your turn. So they approached me in 2016 and said they want me to join the Not Too Young to Run leadership team and build a movement and launch a campaign. So I joined them with about 10 of us. And then what we did was we approached lawmakers, one in the House of Rep and one in the Senate, to sponsor a bill, an age reduction bill called Not Too Young to Run bill. And then we started mobilizing on the street and educating young people. If this bill passes, it means if you're 25 years old, you can
vie for office.
So we started mobilizing first in major cities, Abuja, Lagos, Port Harcourt, Kano. I remember we did the first town hall meeting, then we didn't even have resources. We're taxing ourselves, and we did it in one big hotel, and we were planning for 200 people. 500 people showed up.
Wow.
So we saw that there was an interest amongst young people across political divide, because it wasn't about any political interest. It's just about young people as a young person in Nigeria to be able to aspire. And then so we started recruiting young people from across the state. We brought them to Abuja. We trained them on organizing and campaigning and mobilizing. And then we did what we call a national day of action. So all these people we trained, we say mobilize people on the street, march to the state assembly and demand for the Not Too Young to Run bill to pass. And in Borno, we had over 10,000 people on the street.
You know, it was all over.
Yeah, it was all over. And even when it was introduced for voting, even the lawmakers saw it was a trend, and everybody was saying, not too young to run. They all voted for it. But then, interestingly, it got to Mr. President, and he was, dragging his foot. For the first time, we did a press conference, and we gave him an ultimatum. We gave Mr. President a 7-day ultimatum to sign our bill, or else we'll mobilize on the street, and we're going to, protest. So Mr. President signed our bill.
Wow.
And for me, this is about, this is what democracy is, having young people changing the course of history around what happens to them and taking their own future and their fate into their hands. And it took about 2.5 years.
To do that.
To do this. A lot of people
that means it took resilience.
Well, it took a lot of resilience, a lot of sacrifice. You know. At that time, I had to stop working. Day to day for Follow the Money and Code. I had to invest all my time on the Not Too Young to Run because we've built credibility and trust, and we needed to use our name and our face to lead this movement and campaign. Even under the rain, under the sun.
Yes, it was all
on
over.
On the street, yes, pushing for the Not Too Young to Run bill. And even after that, during the Bring Back Our Girls campaign, I was part of that campaign, mobilizing young people on the street. A lot of social justice campaign, even when there was police brutality.
Yeah.
And for me, for the NTAS movement, my message was peace. Do not vandalize. Let's have a peaceful dialogue. As much as we disagree with government or we are aggrieved with the police, we are all Nigerians and we must remain peaceful. So that was my message at that time. And now I do work also around SDGs. Yeah. Because the SDGs is the 2030 Development Agenda, and after the MDGs.
Yeah.
Around 2014, the world leaders were looking at the post-2015 development agenda. So I was selected among 10 young leaders to come and meet with Ban Ki-moon, the then
United Nations Secretary.
10 of us, I was sitting next to sitting next to Ban Ki-moon, and he was asking us questions about what should be the development agenda for the next, 30 years. What should it be? And I was like, wow, I'm going to define what becomes in it. So for me, I'm also part of the people that shaped this, and I'm also championing it, trying to localize the SDGs in reducing inequality, ensuring we reduce maternal mortality and newborn, we get decent job, there's economic growth, we're able to end poverty, end hunger, climate action. Yeah.
A lot. You're doing a lot. Wow. Mr. Hamzat, I'm really impressed, and this is a whole lot as a young person. I know that, I don't know your age, but I'll still put you in the category of young people.
Yeah,
it's
I'm 35.
A lot.
I turned 35 in March.
Wow.
Yeah.
You don't look it. Because you
you.
Still look like maybe you're in your mid-20s, something like that. It's a whole lot, and I know that we cannot finish this discussion in just one episode. So I'll just like to take you to another week and close it at this point so that you can give us further details on what you're doing currently. Thank you so much for coming on this episode of this program. And it's Connected Dots. We are ending this today. And next week we'll be bringing Mr. Hamzat back to you to give us more details about so many projects that he's doing. I'm sure that it will serve as like a kind of motivation for a lot of young people that feel like they don't have money to start something. They need to get some certain level of commitment from people before they start something. It's not about that. Mr. Hamzat started without thinking about future, like, I'm going to have a kind of office set up, I'm going to get so amount of money to rent space, to employ people and all of that. And that's the spirit of resilience, I'll say. And this podcast is about resilience, the mental health of people, and even the mindset shift towards seeing people. See you next time and connect the dots with us again. Thank you.